What gets you up in the morning?
Oh, geez. This is gonna sound like so fake and so cliche, but as I said in our pre-talk, I grew up in LA, but I've lived here a long time. I think you could say that I became a person here.
Oh, nice.
I know that it can be weird and hard here to care about things or to find things to do, especially for young people. So as fake as it sounds, I really like the idea that maybe what I do might help somebody find something interesting to think about or care about or engage with or do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's articles on arts and culture in Santa Fe.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a little teaser about who you are.
I like to
we'll
help
get to in the
people.
show intro. Yeah.
Sure.
What gets you angry, Alex?
Oh, geez. Lately, so much. That's a loaded question. Sorry, I feel like this is dropping.
It is?
Maybe.
We can pause and I can tighten it for you. Why don't we do that?
What makes me angry? Boy, in this day and age, people who don't give a shit about anything. Is it okay to say
Really?
shit?
I used to be cool, though.
I know. I think about this a lot, actually. I think if you're of a certain age, you're part of this generation where it was like cool to like things ironically, or to, say you liked things there was no way that you liked, or that if you did like stuff, you hid that from people for whatever reason. And I know that plenty of people around my mystery age are, it's almost like we hit this point where we didn't know how to like stuff anymore. But I don't know, people giving a shit, that's like really big for me. Like,
Okay.
I don't even care what it is, but if you like care about something, that's cool. And if you're just like, oh, everything's stupid,
Oh,
that's irritating to me.
I see. So like an optimist, a positive person.
I wouldn't even say that I'm like particularly an optimist. I know things can be really terrible.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that if you're doing something that if you're lucky enough to be doing something that you want to do, like really caring about it, or at least trying to find something that you can care about, that's big. Also, transphobes really piss me off, and racists really piss me off, and misogynists, and we at my newspaper, we had a genderqueer writer. Well, we have a genderqueer writer who contributes to us, and they're awesome. And every so often I'll get some letter that's like, I'm mad that this person, like, I don't understand what their deal is, and I'm mad about it, and that just pisses me off so badly.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would possibly care so much about other people.
Well, to go through the effort of writing into the paper.
Totally, yeah. I got
a
up and I
deep
spent
level
time.
of commitment to the View.
It is.
Yeah.
It seems really, really hateful. So yeah, that stuff makes me angry.
Okay. What's the most fun you've had in post-vaccine Santa Fe?
Ooh, boy. Post-vaccine Santa Fe. Well, are you familiar with Vital Spaces, the work that they do?
Yeah, I have a friend that rents there.
Oh, awesome. Who can I ask who?
Keith Riggs.
Keith Riggs. I don't know
He's a
them.
multimedia artist, writer.
I would love to meet him. That sounds great.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, we'll connect you.
Cool. They've been doing this show called Intersections. It's all over town in parks and on banners, and they're doing it in their spaces as well. And they had this opening night where it was just, for the first time in a year or more, it was all these musicians and artists and people from various collectives and outfits. The Earthseed Black Arts Alliance was there, and they have like kind of 3 core founding members who all do amazing stuff separately, and you generally, like, if you're out in the world, you'll see them one at a time, but they were all there together, and that was really cool. And everyone was in a good mood, and it was like seeing people I hadn't seen in a long time, and it was just art everywhere. And I love the idea of Vital Spaces being that, I mean, I know you know, but in case you didn't, they rent out otherwise empty spaces, rent them to artists for really cheap, and everybody does cool stuff.
Yeah.
So probably that. Oh, and I went to the movies. and that
Oh,
was
yeah.
really cool too.
I've been once. So what'd you see?
I've seen 2 movies so far. One was Roadrunner, the Anthony Bourdain movie,
Oh, nice.
and the other one was Black Widow, and that was fine, I guess.
Have you seen these movies because you're reviewing them?
I do see a lot of movies because I do review them,
Yeah.
but also I'm just like, I love going to the movies.
Okay.
When I was a kid, my brother and I, like, when you'd go to the movies with my dad, it was this, like, he'd come in to the room in the morning and be like, do you guys want to go to a movie? And we'd be like, oh, yeah, we do. It was just, like, the coolest thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I grew up on movies too.
yeah, to this day, I still, like, I know it's a hassle and it's not like it was when I was a kid, but I still get that feeling when I walk in the theater, like, I'm doing something fun today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and way better than an amusement park.
Honestly, it is.
Yeah, I know that feeling, and it's genuine at a movie theater.
It is.
Storytelling is soothes the soul.
It's everything.
Yeah.
And I'm a big proponent of escapism. Like, I think it's can be a really good thing, and I can't think of anything that does it better.
There you go. You're listening to Artist with Brian. I'm Brian here with
Alex DeVore.
Alex is a journalist and the cultural editor at the Santa Fe Reporter. Thanks for being here, Alex.
I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. Season 3 of Artist with Brian is brought to you by howtoplaypoker.video. It's crowd approved and totally free. Visit howtoplaypoker.video now. Alex, in this clickbait era of journalism, why is the print reporter still so popular?
Whoa. Wow, Brian. You're hitting me with them thought provokers. I mean, I don't. Okay, so on a personal level,
Yeah.
I don't want to say I'm not old. I'm not in my 40s. Very young over here.
Yeah.
Which is something that young people say, right? I still like having something to hold in my hands.
Yeah.
And that I can flip through. It's similar to, for me, like, I want to read liner notes in an album, and I want to see photos in a record, and I don't want to just, share an article that I saw the headline from and assume that I knew what it was on Facebook, and then dust off my hands like I've contributed to anything. Also, Santa Fe, I think, is like everything that's happening somewhere else. In 10 or 12 years from now, maybe like that's where we'll reach that point with them as well. But I also think that, Santa Fe is really community-minded in this way that I haven't seen a lot of places. And like we were talking about before, I grew up in LA. I've lived in Northern California. My weird family has lived in New Zealand and the UK, and we've been around, but Santa Fe has this close-knit, community-minded kind of thing that I haven't really experienced anywhere else. And I think, or at least I hope on some level, that the people who live here like the idea that there is still this kind of old school, independent, not ass-kissy kind of journal of opinion that they can pick up on a corner for free and find out if there's a thing to do, or if some local politician or business or whatever did something shady. I think daily newspapers are really important, but the alt weekly, it still feels really punk rock to me in a way that I think a lot of people, even if they can't kind of live that way every day, they know they have a newspaper where people don't care about pissing off cops or business owners, things like that.
I love getting it out of a box when I just happen to pass one on the sidewalk.
Totally. And I mean, so our art director, this guy, Anson Stevens Ballin, it's like 99% of the art. Like, if you've seen a reporter cover in the last 7 years, he has pretty much done it, unless it's a special issue. And I think there is something when you see the box over there and you see the art that he's done, and it feels like this product that people really put a lot of effort into.
Totally. That's a really good point.
And I can promise you that we do put a lot of effort into
it. It's a weekly magazine on newsprint.
Yeah.
Yeah, with great articles.
Totally.
And a ton of utility. Like, sometimes if I don't feel like reading anything, I'll still flip it open to read the overheard. Yep. Slide it back in the box and like walk another few miles on my morning walk.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It makes me really glad to hear. That's something that, you know, we've talked about a lot internally too. Like, how can we put things in there that if you only have a minute, you can just look at it and maybe, like, we have this column in it, 7 days, where it's satire, but it's still like real life news items, and it's just 7 quick little news items that happened in town or around the country this week that hopefully will give you a laugh, and maybe you say, "Oh shit, Cuomo resigned, crazy."
All right.
Yeah.
So as a kid, what did you want to be when you grow up?
Nothing. I had no idea. Like, I was into basketball when I was little, and once I found out that was like a really competitive thing, I was kind of like, oh, who cares? And I liked, you know, art and music. I grew up in an arty, righty, music-y movie kind of house. When I was like a teenager, I got super into this place, Warehouse 21. Which is, if you don't know, if you're not from Santa Fe, it was a teen art center that for a very long time was literally run out of this like beat up old warehouse. And the woman who founded it, Ana Gallegos y Reinhardt, she's amazing, by the way. If you're ever looking for people, she was Georgia O'Keeffe's nurse. Oh. She founded an armory for the arts. Wow. She was really instrumental in the Center for Contemporary Arts opening, and Warehouse 21 began as this offshoot called the CCA Warehouse, and eventually she moved it over to its own place. And it was just her and a couple of adults who were like, hey, kids, come in here and mess around and learn how to do stuff and fail, and it's fine, and we'll connect you with people who do the things you want to do. And I got really into like punk rock and booking shows and playing in really, you know, horrible teenage bands, you know, No One Loves Me kind of music. The emo movement was very big for me and my friends.
Yeah, me too.
Right?
Without any friends, though. That type of emo. Yeah.
Yeah, we would put on Get Up Kids and be like, oh, we got to do this. And then, you know, we all got into NoFX, and that turned into like, we're all very punk rock living in our parents' homes. So then for a long time I wanted to do that, and I was in terrible bands, and none of them really did much of anything. That's the long version of the short answer to I don't even know. I didn't have something that I wanted to do.
That's interesting. And at what age did you discover journalism as a career path?
God, I was like 24, 25.
Okay.
And this is going to sound like, I'm sure there are people who are in it or trying to get into it who are just going to hate my guts for this, but it's not like something that I was like, I'm going to go to school and do this. And it's not something that I said, I'm going to like, you know, give writing samples to the newspaper and see what happens. I had grown up writing because my dad was a writer, and he was adamant about, like, he'd bring home To Kill a Mockingbird. I'm 8 years old, and then he'd make us write, my brother and I, essays about, like, you know, what are the themes of this film, and why is the way they shot it important, and, you know, what can you tell me about Horton Foote, the director? But I was literally hosting the Geeks Who Drink, the pub trivia. I had just moved back to Santa Fe from Northern California. I was very sad. And I got this part-time job mainly because it meant free beer while I did it. And the editor of the paper, of the Santa Fe Reporter at the time, Julia Goldberg, happened to come one night. And when you work at Geeks Who Drink, you have to do this blog as well where you talk about, here's everything that happened at the quiz last night. And I'm just like a shit talky kind of writer. And she read this and thought it was funny and said, do you know anything about music? And do you care if you're hated? And I said, I do know something about music. I don't care if I'm hated. And so I just started freelancing with them then and never stopped working for them.
That's awesome. Santa Fe serendipity.
Very, 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 very lucky.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Better be lucky than good, but you're both. What's the local story you feel called to cover but can't find your way in?
Oh boy. That's a really good question, Brian. So I'm lucky in that, as I say, I became a person here. I was a teenager here. pretty much everybody who's doing something at this point is someone I grew up with or learned how to do something with or taught how to do something or was taught by to do something. Terrible English. I have not had a whole lot of trouble covering a lot of things. What I will say, and I'm a little reticent to bring it up because I know it's a sensitive subject, and I know that people have this perception about how I feel about it, but Meow Wolf is kind of a big thing for me that I want to be covering. Should I just keep going?
Well, I'm so intrigued.
Okay.
Because I have unconventional views about Meow Wolf too.
Oh.
We may differ in our views, but geez, what was the question that popped into my head? Oh yeah, is it that you personally don't even know what the Meow Wolf story is yet? Because is that?
Oh, I would say I know the story better than most.
Oh, okay.
The people who founded that place, like the people who really founded that place, not the people who did the paperwork or who corporatized it. I mean, the people who founded a warehouse group of idiot friends who are making trash art are my oldest and dearest friends, and I love them dearly. I cannot be clear enough about that. Nor can I be clear enough about the fact that I do not hate that place. I want artists to do well and to make money doing what they want to do. And I've seen some of the best shows of my life there, and that includes music and art and on and on and on and on. I do not hate that place. I do not want it to fail. I live here too. Why would I say, art in my town? No, thank you. Like, yes, I want that.
Well, yeah, I got paid as a bartender right next door off of Meow Wolf spending money. So, there's a waterfall effect from the cash that's coming in that front door, not just the artists in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There definitely is. Having said that, I look at how certain artists are treated and how certain artists are paid or not paid or let go unceremoniously. And I think, okay, this place took a lot of public money, and this place continues to garner this level of support that feels almost rabid and cultish to me. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to be one of the largest employers in a state, and if you're going to, demand this kind of attention from everyone, you should be open to scrutiny from journalists.
So I was going to ask, so why aren't you covering it?
Oh, I'm definitely covering it. I think, in fact, that I'm covering it. And most of the things that I read about Meow Wolf are very like, New Age Disney does it again, perfect in every way. And that's fine. But, we've covered stories about we've broke stories about employees who have sued them for wrongful termination or for, I don't have the exact terminology in front of me right now, and I don't want to say it was specifically these things. But if you look up Santa Fe Reporter and Meow Wolf, you can see a lot of our coverage.
Yeah, I was very interested when the artists were trying to unionize, and there was a little group, activism group on that. I don't know if you guys covered that. You must have.
Yeah, we did. We covered them trying to unionize. We covered there was a group, although I don't know how genuine it was, of people who were like, look, we don't want a union. We just want to be best art friends.
Oh, yeah, the subtext was fascinating.
Yeah, it really was, and that was really cute. As far as I know, and I can't promise this, but as far as I know, we are the only outlet that reported on how when they laid off 201 people due to COVID, they said it was COVID, but it was actually, they knew those layoffs were coming anyway.
Wow.
And I thought that was going to be a really huge story. That's 200 people, some of whom moved here from other countries to work for this place. And they were told, oh, COVID. You guys, COVID, it's really hard. I'm so sorry. And then, behind closed doors, the office of their CEO was saying, we knew this was coming. We knew we grew too big too fast. People changed their lives for that.
Wow.
And that was kind of a scary week for me. I feel like we have an obligation. Again, some of these people are my oldest and dearest friends, and to have to do a piece that's like, hey, this company lied to all its people. I know I have to do that. I don't know that anyone else is going to do that. And I know I'm sitting here sounding like, God, I'm so bravely, with the machete of truth, whatevering.
Yeah.
But it's hard, because then again, people say oh, well, you just hate that place. That's why you did that. Well, I don't, and it's what happened. I don't. Me telling you that a thing happened is not me having done the thing or wishing good or well upon the thing. The thing just happened.
Well, that's good. So you have journalistic integrity. Yeah, this is proof.
I would like to think that I do.
No, it's good. Have you had some awkward phone calls, like outgoing calls to the Meow Wolf like corporate offices, trying to get interviews or sources?
Yeah. I've had awkward calls to everybody everywhere.
Yeah.
Because I mean, so when I started out, I had kind of come out of I was very specifically focused on music, and I'd come out of this, very punk rock DIY scene of young people who were like, look, we'll try, and if it doesn't work, like, whatever. And then when I started getting into, like my mid to late 20s and looking around Santa Fe, and it was bands like, hey, we play Wagon Wheel twice in our fucking set in the corner of the bar, and screw the reporter because their reviewer doesn't understand, like, why that's makes us great musicians. And I think I kind of picked up a bit of a reputation as someone who just didn't like anything, which is absurd. But I think, like, sometimes when I call people, Meow Wolf included, they think like, oh, you're gunning for us, you're coming at us so you can make us look bad.
Yeah.
But that's not my goal.
Do you find yourself having to cleanse your palate after a hard-hitting investigative piece like that? Like, are you writing then puff pieces or fluff pieces for a little while?
I mean, so I generally, if I can, as I say, like, if I can help people, then I feel like I'm doing something worthwhile. Sometimes that comes across as like a few weeks of coverage of like, here's some amazing bands, or like, we had a great meal at this place, or, the Lighthouse was a lot better than you probably thought it was going to be, kind of thing. But it's not. So I don't want to just harp about Meow Wolf, but like, after we did that story about how they told their employees it was COVID and it wasn't, that I did feel like really exhausted in this way, and I had a lot of people kind of coming at me like, this is awful, why could you do this? But that feeling comes from a lot of things. Like, every so often you'll write something and someone will tell you, like, an artist will say, like, that is not what I was going for, you completely misunderstood what I was doing. Now, I fully believe that once you make a piece of art and you put it out into the world, that whatever you intended, fine, but I get to perceive it however I perceive it. That said, if I write about somebody and then they let me know, like, boy, man, I really did not like that, then that really will stick with me for weeks or months even. Because, I mean, as I say, I grew up here. I hated the Reporter for years because we were booking these shows at Warehouse 21 with, like, we're 15 and booking bands that, like, a week later were huge, like, hugely big bands. We were bringing bands from Japan and, like, being yelled at by touring agents because we were like, well, here's $100. And they were like, we make 20 grand other places. God, I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, the point is, I hated the Reporter.
Yeah, which is fascinating to me.
They wouldn't talk about what we were doing. Yeah. And, for years I said, boy, if I worked at the Reporter, I would try to find the things that maybe not everybody knew about, but that, were a little better for them. And I still try to do that, and I try to be really accessible for that reason. Because it used to be, if you emailed the Reporter, you never heard back from them.
Yeah.
My cell phone number is on our website. People seem to have no problem approaching me in the grocery store or on the street to tell me I'm a piece of shit, or that they liked the thing that I did, or whatever.
Yeah.
But long story short, after I do something hard, or if I feel like I failed somebody in some way, I think it hits me really hard because I felt really failed by the Reporter when I was younger.
I see. Very nice. And you've been there 14 years in total?
14 years. Many of those years were freelance years, but I've been on the staff like 8-ish years.
Yeah, and it still hurts. Everyone listening, it still hurts Alex.
It does still hurt Alex.
But it's helpful sometimes too, so don't stop, right?
Well, I figure if I get to criticize your art, or if I get to, write what I write. You get to tell me if you hate my guts, and that's fine. But I think that maybe people think I don't care about that. And I also, I don't think anyone's sitting at home like thinking about me particularly, but that sticks with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're more, I gotta say, you have a persona that precedes your physical presence, because that name, Alex Vore, is
Oh, no.
kind of iconic, and I see it so often. Like, I feel like I knew who you are before I even followed you on Instagram, just from the name.
People tell me they think I'm a woman a lot of the time.
Oh.
Which is fine.
Interesting.
Like, they'll meet me and say, oh, I could have sworn you were a woman from your writing style. I didn't know there was, like, gendered writing styles.
Yeah, and Alex is a very non-gendered name, so.
But, yeah, I don't know.
You want to play a game?
Sure, yeah.
We're going to test your expertise on journalism in culture.
Okay.
Journalism as culture. This game's called Feature Films That Feature Journalism. If you get 3 questions right in a row, you win this VHS copy of Dances with Wolves.
I love Dances with Wolves.
Oh, you do love it?
Yeah.
Do you have a VCR?
Yes.
Oh, you do. So it's your choice. You could watch it, or you could leave it shrink wrapped in its original packaging.
Oh my! I want it so bad, Brian.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like that movie too, but I don't know how to feel about it in 2021. Leave a comment on Artists with Brian on Instagram.
That's a good point.
Let me know. First question. Oh, so the answer to all these 3 questions will be the title of a movie.
Okay.
Yeah. First question. The title role is a composite character of real-life American media barons William Randolph Hearst and Joseph Pulitzer. And I have one hint for all these, if you need help.
Okay, give me a hint. I know that's pathetic, but hint me up.
1941. Released in 1941.
Oh, it's Citizen Kane.
Good job. You got it right. Okay. On to question 2. Named after the Boston Globe's investigative journalist unit, the longest continually operating such unit in the United States.
Spotlight.
You got it. 2 for 2. Okay, you're still in the running for Dances with Wolves.
Fresh.
This is technically the hardest question. I wish you the best of luck.
Oh, no.
Based on a nonfiction book by the same name, 2 journalists investigate the Watergate scandal.
Oh, All the President's Men.
All right, man. 3 for 3. You got it.
I'm taking the movie home.
Alex is taking the movie home. We'll do a photo. We'll put it on Instagram when your episode comes out.
My friend Benji is going to be thrilled that I have this movie now.
My favorite line is that, like, drunk admiral, not admiral, it's not the Navy, but like a drunk.
The guy who's like, save the horses.
He's in charge. Yeah, he's in charge of the outpost. And he says, I don't know. He says, like, why to Kevin Costner, and why are you here? Like, who delivered you? And he says, I came to see the frontier before it's gone. And the drunk sergeant, let's call him, or officer, says, no. Oh, I fucked this up. I'm going to have to edit it out. But Costner goes.
You're a monster, Brian.
Costner goes.
And they sent you here to be posted?
Actually, sir, I'm here at my own request.
Really? Why?
I've always wanted to see the frontier.
Do you want to see the frontier?
Yes, sir. Before it's gone.
Such a smart lad coming straight to me.
Yeah, I think like people think Santa Fe is really one thing. Even people who come and visit here a lot, but it's not. I still don't have a grasp of it. And
Oh yeah, you got to come see it exactly, and it's forever changing.
Yeah.
Except maybe the number of available housing units.
Yeah, no shit. Can I ask you one more question about Kevin Costner, and then I'll stop asking you questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Did you ever see The War with Kevin Costner and Elijah Wood?
Oh shoot, no. But those are 2 excellent actors.
Brian, I watched it recently. I saw it when I was a kid, but I watched it not that long ago. Oh my God. Like, he's the dad and he comes home from Vietnam and he's affected, because Vietnam was Vietnam. Very good.
Okay, I wrote it down. I'll watch The War.
Awesome. It's just been on my mind.
So another hard-hitting question for you.
Oh, sure.
I want to ask you about your article, How Fortnite and Second Life Shaped the Future of Indian Market.
Yeah.
It's linked on your Instagram. It's the link in the bio at Team Alex. Team Alex, follow him on Instagram. So it's significant to you. I read it. Published August 21st, 2020.
Yeah.
So you're still hanging on to it. So I felt like we should talk about it.
Sure.
Help me understand why. Maybe it's not the case anymore, but why was like a virtual Indian market so important, and why were you so excited about it? It felt like you thought it was really significant for the future of Indian market.
Sure. So real quick, I hadn't realized that was still the link on my Instagram, so I assure you that's just laziness on my part.
Okay.
But if I could be annoyingly braggy a little bit, that story did win an award from the Society of Professional Journalists, and I think
very
that's
nice.
why I linked it there, because that was just a couple of months ago that happened. So, Indian market, and it's coming up soon. I am a white guy, so let me just preface everything I say with I am a white guy. It is, in a lot of cases, like the number one big only money maker of the year for a lot of these indigenous artists. Like, they work all year for this weekend. This would have been, they're calling it the 99th this year. If it happened last year, it would have been the 100th year. So for 100 years, you know, Native artists from everywhere have come here for this weekend. It's a really big deal. It's a whole process to get accepted, to be juried in, to win prizes. There are collectors who plan their entire lives around being in Santa Fe for that weekend. So to lose it in 2020, like we lost everything else, obviously, I'm sure was devastating to communities. And I don't have specific numbers, but I'm sure this was devastating to, you know, public communities, res communities, just people who live Native artisan communities anywhere and everywhere. So for them to so quickly use this, so the story was about how the Southwest Association of American Indian Arts, SWAIA, had used Second Life, being that video game that we all recall, to create a virtual version of Indian Market called NDN World, Indian World.
Can people still visit it?
Yeah, it still exists.
Oh, nice.
And it's free. And you could literally, they made like a virtual version of the convention center, and they had the pieces. You could go in there and basically play this video game, but look at the pieces. You could walk up to a painting and click on it, and it would tell you who the artist was, what they thought about it, you know, when it was made and everything. And then they started holding these like virtual speeches in there and virtual awards ceremonies. And when you were in there, you could see other people, their 3D avatar as well, and you could go up and talk to them and be like, "Oh, what do you think of this piece? It's pretty cool." And I think that the director of SWAIA, Kim Peon, who is pretty awesome. It was kind of a stroke of genius. I mean, we all recall that everything went Zoom this and Zoom that. And suddenly I couldn't just call you on the phone or send you an email or a text anymore. We had to do a whole Zoom thing, and I had to brush my hair, and it was just an endless nightmare I couldn't wake up from. So having a virtual version of myself to walk around the convention center and see these pieces that even like 2 weeks earlier I was like, what are these people gonna do? And you know, I like going too. I believe me, I'm not like a collector. I don't have any money. I'm not going and buying these massive pieces, but I still like to meet the people who come and see the work. And you know, I think, I don't want to speak for artists, but if I were an artist who was coming to Indian Market, I'd probably be really excited. This whole weekend was just art and people, and you know, so I feel like you asked me a pretty simple question. I've been rambling for a long time, but
no, that's good. That's a good overview. Do you know, are they gonna like co-promote the virtual and the in person this year?
Yeah, so they're selling tickets to Indian Market this year. I don't know what the status is, if they're sold out or whatever. And to be honest with you, I don't know how you can do what is essentially charging admission to the plaza. That's something I'm still working on figuring out. But yes, Indian World will continue to exist. So, I mean, if you're from somewhere else, I think that'd be a really cool way to go about it. Like, you can look at Facebook pictures all day, but this is just way more information. And it's a fun way to do it because video games are cool.
So people should Google NDN World?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
I think if they yes, or look up SWAIA, SWAIA.org. They should have all the information on that website as well.
Or go to
Or-
Alex's Instagram and click the top link before
Yeah,
he changes
I'll
it.
leave it there for the rest of our lives.
I want to try something kind of fun. I think it'll be fun.
That's great.
I hope it is. I want to try to help you demonstrate, convey to the listeners who are young aspiring journalists how you effectively interview a source for a story in a brief encounter. So you get to ask me some questions
Okay.
about Artists with Brian. And I've got a key phrase that I want to see if you can get to in like the span of 1 or 2 minutes.
Okay. Okay, what's the phrase?
Oh, no.
Oh, it's a mystery phrase.
Yeah, it's a surprise. It's just a little curiosity I have.
Okay.
Like how adept you are at successive questionings to get to the meat.
I see. I
Yeah.
see. Okay. So should I say this is what I would do, or should I just launch into how I would go
let's
about
just role play. Yeah,
Okay.
no narration.
it? Okay,
yeah.
that works for me. Okay, you ready?
Yeah. You're Alex, right?
I am Alex.
Oh, thanks.
Brian.
Stopping by.
I'm surprised that I've never have met you before. We know a lot of the same people, I think, but maybe it's just Santa
Yeah.
Fe.
You have a familiar face. Maybe you met me when I was a bartender.
I think I do definitely recognize you from Second Street.
Okay.
Now that I think of it. So, $1 million question, of course. Why podcasts now?
You mean like after the first growth stage or
Yeah,
in 2021 or?
I mean, there are so many podcasts that are vying for my attention at any given time. I know Santa Fe is an arty town, and we have a number of podcasts about it. How does yours kind of stand out?
How does mine stand out?
Mhm.
It's local. It's hyper local. I interview Santa Fe artists. And then secondly, amongst the global art podcasts, I care relatively little about the artistic process. I'm much more interested in the artist's temperament and personality and lifestyle.
That's really interesting. I would agree with that too. Like, you can talk to me about brushstrokes all day, but why?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so you probably dig the premise.
Does that mean that you are an artist too?
I am, absolutely.
And your medium would be?
Screenwriting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm currently transitioning into like a low-budget indie producer,
Okay.
but haven't permanently given up on screenwriting. I've just given up on breaking into Hollywood as a hired hand.
And so is that something, like as a writer, was that something that you were trained to do? Like, did you go to school?
Yeah, I was briefly in a dual film and business degree at USC, and I dropped out of the film, well, not briefly, after 2 whole years.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've taken screenwriting classes.
Then that department out there, as we know, is no joke.
Yeah. Like my screenwriting teacher was a staff writer on Step by Step, which is a show I grew up on, so that was pretty dope.
Oh, yeah. Step by step, day by day.
Right?
Yeah. It's like the Brady Bunch, only don't think about that.
I remember Cody, like the cousin or
And he was in those
half
kickboxer
brother.
movies.
Well, yeah.
Sasha something.
Well, he lived in an RV in the driveway. I thought that was so cool.
I thought that was cool when I was a kid. And he was like, oh, I'm just out here shredding the gnar on the skateboard.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I can't wait till I'm old enough to skateboard. And then I didn't care. Okay. And so, but you're not from Santa Fe.
No, from Virginia. I've been here 7 years.
Okay.
I started I tried a podcast when I first got here.
A
I
similar.
was like, it was called Brian Goes West. Very similar, but I was going to interview anybody who was sort of one of a kind or an independent thinker, beats to their own drum, across all disciplines.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I notice when you asked me to do it, I kind of looked up what you do.
Oh,
and
nice.
I noticed that you don't, like, there's a lot of variety. Like, that word's annoying, but I noticed that it's like you're trying to cut a wide swath of mediums and practices.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. I want the show to be eclectic, to always feel eclectic.
Mhm.
And then personally as the host, as my curiosity and investigation is to find the common thread or ruminate on the common thread between all artists, which is the temperament.
Interesting. And, so I know this town, it obviously skews a little older in the demographics, but, I mean, there are a lot of young people here doing a lot of things. Is that something that's of importance to you that you want to feature on your podcast?
It's absolutely of importance to me. When I was in high school, I fell in love with poetry and literature at like age 16. And my English teacher told me not to be a writer. She said it's a miserable life. The day that I came up to the front of the classroom and told her really excitedly that like I had just figured out that writing is not like a hobby. Like these greats spent their whole life dedicated to it, and I want to be a writer. It was like a revelation to me. And she said, don't do that. So I want to it's very important to me that eventually the majority of the listeners to this show are in high school or maybe just graduated college, don't like working in the corporate world and feel like they need to express themselves. And they learn from people actually doing it, how to survive, even if your art's not making money, how to patch together a life.
So it's that be who you needed when you were that age.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to solve a problem that I was having for others.
Do you think it's like kind of an interesting...
That's the key phrase, by the way.
Which was what?
I wanted to solve a problem I was having for others.
Okay.
And what's amazing is your like journalism skills. I was going to answer that phrase to a totally different question. So that's amazing. I slipped it in there.
That's great.
But that's good.
I think so. There's this interesting dichotomy, and I think you explained it really well with this teacher, where we all want to read books and see movies, and we all want to, go to punk shows and look at paintings and touch the fucking sculpture when the security guard isn't looking. Everybody wants to consume art, but anytime a kid says, I think I want to do art, all the adults in their life say, no, don't do it. You'll never make money, as if that's like the one yardstick for success or for happiness. Like, I've spent the last 20 years hanging out with punk rock fucking weirdos, listening to music and playing in terrible bands, and I didn't die, and maybe I don't live in a mansion, but like, oh my God, Gen Z, they're so much better than us, Brian. They reject racism and transphobia, and they say, fuck off, I do want to be an artist, and there's a way for me to do that. And then, our generation or the slightly older generation, their parents' generations, they say, I don't understand what TikTok is, therefore it's invalid art. I don't know what Instagram famous means, therefore it's invalid art. It's really, really annoying to me. So I appreciate that somebody has put together a podcast that says, hey, 16-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
Why the hell not?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to try to find some young hip-hop artists. And when I say young, I mean in their 20s. I think comedians I want to get, maybe even a martial artist. I'm gonna really push the frontier of what an artist means to see if I can find a younger audience.
Do you know
basically
Jasper Rumi?
No.
This local kid, they're non-binary, and they're an MC. They're maybe 18 or 19 at this point, maybe 20. But don't quote me on that, because I could be wrong. But they just quietly put out these SoundCloud tracks that are out of control.
That's how history starts.
Yeah.
That's how Little Peep started.
This kid, they had this one line. I'm not going to remember it right, but it was the kind of, I've heard a few lines out of them where I thought, that's good for seasoned, like, long time writers, and you just probably freestyled that somewhere.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I will check them out. 100%.
Yeah. Kids are, though, I think rightfully wary of us.
Of us
beardos.
Like beardos in that decade of life that is neither young nor old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that we were prepared for nothing, so we're really immature, but we look weathered and sunbeaten.
But the silver lining of being our age is that, don't you feel like you're ready to pop? Like in life, like you've failed enough, you've succeeded enough, you've grown up enough, you can put it all together finally.
I mean, similar to your, kind of like creating solutions where you had none for people. I just hope, like, as I do get older, I have the wisdom to know not to say, I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was.
Right.
/ I don't want to stand in the way of, like, young people who are ready to do whatever. That said, if a young person sends me, like, a hip-hop album and it's really terrible and they want me to write about it and I say it's really terrible, I'll have to do that.
Oh.
Sorry, kids.
Damn. Yeah, like I kind of like the idea of saying no to everybody, because the ones who are meant to do it will do it in spite of every answer being no.
It's that screw you.
Well, there's like type 1 and type 2 error. You don't want to encourage someone that doesn't have the talent. That's
right.
A bad type of error. The one that's an error but not as severe is what my English teacher told me. Don't do it, it's miserable. But here I am, clawing my way through.
That's your kind
like
of
I
misery.
got to it anyways.
Yeah.
So, oh well. Let's go to the clay pot.
Okay. What is it?
It is a collection of fan questions in a pot that I made once upon a time at Santa Fe Clay.
It's beautiful. Clay's not. I
It's
made a clay
horrible.
pot. It was hard.
It's very hard. It was Intro to Wheel, which is a very fun class. I don't know where Santa Fe Clay is these days. It moved from the rail yard, but like if any local clay school, sign up for Intro to Wheel. It's a blast. You'll meet somebody new. That's what happened to me.
Paseo Pottery here,
Okay.
they do that, and also they're 100% nonprofit. Everything that they make goes to
wow.
charities and organizations.
That's
in town.
awesome. I'm going to contact them. I have this new program called Sticker Partners.
Oh yeah, her name is Angela Kirkman. Is
Angela.
the owner of Paseo Pottery, and they're on Paseo de Peralta, so it's a very apt name.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Cool. First fan question.
Oh no, what's your problem?
What grocery store do you shop at?
I shop at 2 grocery stores.
Mm,
I go to Sprouts because they have the macadamia milk that I like,
okay.
and I go to Trader Joe's because I'm poor.
Oh, no. My answer is I go to Trader Joe's because it's gourmet, and I go to Smith's because I'm poor.
I like Smith's new, like, when I was a kid, it was called Furs, and I'll never forget their jingle because it went, Furs, and I remembered it. But it used to be like the crummy grocery store, but now it's like they're trying to Whole Foods it up kind of a little
yeah.
bit.
Tried to do what Market Street did.
Yeah.
Yeah, into Vargas. Next fan question. Favorite fast food chain?
This is going to sound so fake, but I don't really eat fast food, and it's not a health thing. It's I don't eat meat, and there's just not a lot of good vegetarian options.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What's the best?
Taco Bell, if I must.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that. I got you. What would you order on a road trip if everyone else in the car is making you go there?
Yeah, probably like a bean burrito.
Very good.
But there's tacos and bean burritos.
Can you eat cheese,
excellent
though?
Here. I probably shouldn't, but I do.
You do? Okay. So that works.
Yeah.
With some Diablo sauce.
Yeah, for sure.
Have I asked you what brought you to Santa Fe in this episode?
No. Wait, when you say fan questions, these are your fans or my fans?
Oh, my God. There's only one actual fan question in here. I've got to come clean because nobody is doing this. Go follow Artists with Brian on Instagram and leave a fan question as a comment.
Yeah, you should bug artists.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I should just DM.
I mean, like, the people who listen to the show, they should, honestly, they should want to know. It's interesting.
I know people are listening, but it's like people just don't go the extra step. Like clicking through the phone is kind of a hassle. You're doing whatever you're doing. Maybe you have gloves on washing dishes. You
Monsters.
Monsters.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
what
sorry.
brought you to Santa Fe?
My family moved here
Oh,
when I
okay.
was a kid,
Yeah.
and I was like 12.
You were
So-
12 and you stayed. That's actually a pretty unique story. I know a lot of people that were born here and stayed.
Yeah, so the Northridge earthquake happened, and my mom was like, hell no more LA. And as I said, my dad was a screenwriter, and he was like, I can do my job anywhere, and then moved out here and never worked again.
Wow.
But he was one of those, like, no one will ever edit or change my words kind of writers, and you can't. Kids, if you're listening to this, don't argue with your editors. They're just trying to make you look better.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Essential on a novel. I've written 6 feature-length screenplays, and I detest people that want to change them too.
Sure.
That's why I'm leaning toward making my own movies.
Yeah.
Final fan question. We'll do one more. We're going long, but I'm honored to have you here. I think the fans are enjoying it too. What podcasts are you listening to right now?
Well, I've been listening to your podcast, Brian, because
Yeah, you did some research.
I was a little scared. I have been invited on podcasts just so people can be like, why are you such a piece of shit? So, you have to make sure you're not going to do that. Honestly, I like local podcasts.
Okay.
I'm not saying like, I want to be engaged with my community, and podcast is a great way to do that. The Reporter was doing one. It was wildly mediocre, and I listened to all of those. I didn't produce them, but I listened to them. Artisan, the art store, does a cool podcast sometimes.
Oh, cool.
And they've had some. They'll do like one artist and one musician. And
Really?
that's-
It sounds like Artist
really
with
cool.
Brian. It's called Artist in the Art Store.
It's Artisan.
Oh, Artisan.
Yeah, the literal art supply store.
They have a podcast.
They have a
That's so
podcast.
exciting. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah,
Um,
and I don't know if they've done one in a minute, but like I was saying when we first got here, the Outstanding Citizens Collective.
Yeah, and that's the other one I'll look up.
The local hip hop outfit. I can't remember the last time they did one, but also like I've been a little computered out of late, and have kind of mostly just been, playing my Xbox at night like a nerd.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
But I like the Outstanding Citizens because they're very, they're dedicated to hip hop, but they have like punk people on, and they have painters on, and they were part of this thing called Hip Hop University, where these local breakdancing kids were like, COVID sucks. We're like in our 30s now. Let's do free classes and such for kids. And that's what they did. And Outstanding Citizens helped them with that.
Oh. They helped them with the podcast?
No, like they help them, the kids, do classes and marketing. And my point is, like, they do a great podcast. And also outside of that, they're very like into community work.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I hope I can get one of their members on the show on season 3. So I'll reach out to them.
Brian, I've had a great time. I would connect you with literally anybody you wanted to find who I knew.
Wow, it's on tape too.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull it out as a clip and promote that. I'm going to get like 1 million people at 1 penny per view.
Do what I say or I'll trash you in the paper. I'm just kidding. That's not how it works.
So where to go, if you had to tell a listener that just got acquainted with you where to go to stay connected or to read your work, where would you send them?
Oh, just sfreporter.com.
Dang. Promoting your paper and not yourself.
Yeah, I know.
That's beautiful.
I'm not like I'm a brand guy. Like our paper does. We've done award-winning journalism for like 50 years. We're doing stuff that you're not going to see anywhere else. I mean, even if you see it somewhere else, ours is going to be like we're suing the police, the Santa Fe Police Department, because they say that disciplinary records for cops don't need to be public information, and we say, oh shit, yes they do.
Yeah.
We'll sue the governor for you because she won't, speak to news outlets. Man. That was Susanna Martinez, not Grisham.
That's why you guys are still popular. You're doing the good work of journalism still.
We live here, and we love and laugh here.
Yeah, you're protecting the city.
And it's
like an amulet for this town.
And we're here for you. Like, you can find me. I'm not hard to find. My email is alex@sfreporter.com. You can find my cell phone number on our website. Like, please don't attack me or come to kill me, but if you want help, I will try to help you.
Thank you. If you are listening to this interview in iTunes, please rate Artist with Brian 5 stars. Write a written review. The 25th rating at the time. Sorry, the written review at the time of the 25th rating will win a $25 iTunes gift card. Thank you to our very first sticker partner, Santa Fe Human Rights Alliance. Go to sfhra.org for a list of upcoming events. That's Santa Fe Human Rights Alliance, sfhra.org. And Alex, before we go, let's lay down on the track a question for our next guest.
Do I get to know who it is?
No, because bookings aren't totally reliable. So this is a custom of the show. I daisy chain the guests this way. Sorry, okay. I didn't have my setup ready for you.
That's okay.
But yeah, they'll hear you saying it right now in their headphones when they show up to the studio.
Okay, so I know that they're an artist. That's what I know.
They'll be an artist, exactly.
Okay. Do you think that it's an artist's job to synthesize and express the terrible things of the world?
Amen. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.